Egyptian Lover, bro. That's straight old school.
But
A
hey,
lot of y'all young ones don't know about Egyptian Lover, which is some fast bass, low bass music. You know what I'm saying?
we did a show in Alexander, Louisiana. The guy that booked the show, his name is Ronnie Perkins. And when I run a teen club, he would bring all the acts in. And he called me one day. I called him one day just talking to him. I said, I like to have a top 40 hit and telling him about it. And he said, yeah, I got this show coming up. He said, would you be interested in coming? I said, $2,500 and get me a motel room. And I went down there. It was me, Egyptian Lover, Vanilla Ice, MC Hammer back in 1998 or 1997 before they was ever. They kind of faded out, and they weren't making the money they're making now. You know what I mean?
I don't know if Uncle Bob speak any other language, but he sure damn speak money.
Hey man. Hey, he's a businessman, Brent. He got a big old farm and big old lake out there, man. He told me I can go fishing anytime I want to and everything, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's not about making money. I mean, we loved it. And I mean, if you're gonna do something, like my daddy did something he got to do for 50 years. That's why I'm a very positive person. He got to do something he loved for 50 years. Right. I love music just as much as I do other things. Right. But the type of music we started doing when the hardcore rap come in, it faded. It hurt everybody. I mean, straight across the board. Because music was going through a weird transition in the 90s. It wasn't nothing like it was like in the early 90s or 80s, like 93, 94, 95, 96. It started slowly transitioning. But they say everything comes back, and you see a lot of it coming back now, you know.
Hey, man, so Uncle Bob, man, let's get into some stories, man.
All right, we get into them. Let's go.
All right, so how was it, man, back in them days, man? You say you say you hung around Luke Skywalker and the 2 Live Crew.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us one of your wildest memories of.
Well, I remember Luke Skywalker. He loved to party back in the day, and I think they was shooting a video for Pop That P, which is Pop the Coochie. They was getting ready. Getting ready to shoot that video, and I was down there, and you got to think about something. Luke and them at the time was pumping money in the University of Miami. I mean, they had the Miami football team. They had players that, you know, I probably seen The Rock down there and didn't even know who he was at the time. You know what I mean? You know, Pitbull, I mean, it was all of us down there. Pitbull actually is on this album rapping. It's a song called One Look. And at the time, he wasn't nobody. He was a young man. And I asked him to rap on my album because I liked him. I didn't know I didn't know his real name, but it was Pitbull. So, I mean, you know, it was just everybody was down there and everybody was in sync and everybody was in tune and everybody wanted to make money, man. I mean, there was a guy, I'm going to use this for an example. There was a guy that I know his name is Bo Crane. A lot of people don't know who he is, but he's the one that founded KC and the Sunshine Band. Oh. And Blowfly. He's the guy that found them, put money behind them, and he actually owned Pandis Records, and he paid for a lot of us doing a lot of stuff, and we made him a lot of money. His name is Bo Crane, but he's the guy that found him and another guy. They found the KC and the Sunshine Band, the Blowfly. You know, if you go on YouTube, there's a movie called The Bass That Ate Miami. And I highly recommend, if you love Miami bass and you want to learn more about it, go watch it. A buddy of mine produced it and made the movie. It's called The Bass. It's free. It's The Bass That Ate Miami. And it talks about how Miami had its own sound, you know. It's the same way with the type music we did. There was a sound in New York. There was a sound in Florida. There was a sound in California. There was a sound in New Jersey. You had different companies, and you knew their sound. Right. So I mean, there were some wild parties. I mean, Topless Girls. I mean, sex
Can I ask
going
him a
on.
follow-up question, JJ?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hey, you brought up Pitbull, Uncle Bob, and you said you met him as a young man. Did you like? And I'm pretty sure you done pat a lot of artists done cross you. That's been in the industry. Some we know and some we maybe don't know. But like, just say the Pitbull, for example. Was there something about him that you was like, this guy? Once he blew up, did you like, man, it was something about that guy that made him special? Like, are you able to see that in people before they?
I didn't see it in him, but the thing I like, he brought his mama to the studio, and I was taught always to respect your mother, and he was saying yes, ma'am, and respected a lot. And when I got back, I asked Charlie what that guy did, and he said he raps for working with him. And I didn't know he was Pitbull at the time, and I said, if you don't mind, see if he'll rap a verse on my album. That's all I said, and it was over and done with. I didn't sit there and really carry on a conversation with him. I just said, I spoke to him for a few seconds. But when at that time, you're sitting back, you don't know the future. I didn't know he'd be as big as he is.
So let me ask you a question, Uncle Bob. And by the way, my name is Rocky Uncle Bob. It's a pleasure to be on.
Rock, here we go.
It's a pleasure to be on with you, right? And one thing I always want to ask guys who happen to be a little lighter complected, that find themselves immersed in the culture. How did you get comfortable being immersed in the culture? And what I mean by that is,
well, you call me white. I ain't prejudiced by no means.
No.
I'm white as white can be. Look, I mean, I can't hide.
It's white as the given snow.
That's it.
And so what I'm asking is Bob, how did you become comfortable with being around so many people that were not white in that culture?
Okay, here we go. Prime example. Radio in Florida plays white and black music on the radio. In the South, you had Hot 105 that played the black music. And you had Y102 that played the whitey pop stuff. Now, in Miami and all that, the culture's different. It's no big deal. Color's no big deal. Black, white, Puerto Rican, Spanish, Cuban, whatever. It's not down there. It's totally different than it is in the South. But you come up here, I mean, and there's people to this day that are still racist to a degree, but it's nothing like it was back then. Like Hot 105, I used to love Hot 105 when it come on Fridays because they would be playing the Stevie B. They'd be playing the stuff like they play in Miami. And I'm like,
right.
Hell yeah.
But as an individual, you never felt weird or different being around all those people?
Nope, and not at all. The only time I felt weird is we went to this club and the dude, we was rolling in the back. And, from the South, I'm used to having my windows down. And I had my windows down. He said, you might want to roll that window up. You might get shot or robbed around here. So I rolled that sucker up real quick.
I just want you to know, Bob, it didn't matter unless they was bulletproof. The bullet was going to go through the window anyway.
Right. But I mean, but down there, we was just all friends hanging out. We was all into the same thing, and we all just wanted to succeed and make money, man. I mean, it was everybody down there.
Well, let me ask you another question, Bob. If you were to, a lot of DJs always say they learned and were brought in by someone else. Someone else taught them the game. Who would you say taught you the DJ game, and who taught you how to mix and master and do all those fancy tricks with the techniques?
Two guys. The first guy is a guy by the name of Paul Cameron, and you go check him out on the internet. He used to have a record pool thing, and he'd do mix it for the radio. He had a mix it thing, and he was real big out in California. He was a guy that I watched and imitated. And the other guy was a guy by the name of Rooney G, which is a real good friend of mine over in Columbus, Georgia, that actually invented the DVJs where you can scratch on the CD players and you could take DVDs and scratch with them. He invented all that for Pioneer. And he lives in Columbus. Probably them two was my most influential. and just learning, man. That's it. I was the only white boy that could scratch around here at the time. Nobody else could do mix like I could.
Yeah, man. I remember growing up, man. You know, being from Montgomery, Michael Long. I think Michael.
Oh,
Long.
you remember that song, Michael Long's in the house?
Yeah.
I helped write it.
Oh, for real? Yeah.
A guy by the name of Rooney G. We helped write it. Michael Long's in the house. Let me hear you shout it out.
Yeah, man. Michael Long, I think he owned Hot 105 at one time, I think.
He did, man. He was a great guy. We used to go over and take reel-to-reels, and he'd pop us $150 bill a piece.
Yeah, man.
Saturday night, man. I mean, it was.
I don't know who owns it now.
I think it's all corporate now. Everything, all radio's done.
We are, and JJ gonna give me because they say I'm always promoting, but one of the things we've learned, I just recently got in the radio business, Bob, and one thing we learned is that like 80% of radio stations all over the country are owned by corporate radio stations, and there's only a few privately owned radio stations, like the one I'm part owner in here in Waco, and so and so I'm just learning that local radio stations are thing of the past. You have those big conglomerates that are going over each state and buying them up one by one, and so you have Radio One, Clear Channel. There's a whole there's only a few.
There's no talent on the radio yet. Like when I was coming up, the DJs were the talent. Like where they would take a record and they would hear something, like they heard this Tyne album here, and they say, "Hey, we're gonna make it or break it," and they would play it like we would do in the clubs and DJs, and we can make or break a song.
Hey, Rock. So now that you being a part owner of a radio station, how long have you been part owner, and how long have you been active with?
Well, it's very recent. We talking less than 2 weeks now that the deal has been finalized.
So now that you have jumped into the radio game, what challenges have you endured since you've been dealing with the radio business?
Oh Lord!
Man. So one of the challenges is, like Bob mentioned, talent, on-air talent. That's a big challenge of here maybe in bigger markets, there's more talent available. But when you're talking about there's no pipeline of talent. Now, you have tons of people that maybe want to be on the radio, but you don't have anybody to teach them how to be on the radio. And then there's no what we would call, there's no farm system available that kind of teaches guys how to be the radio. And just because you have a podcast, just because you can DJ in the club, doesn't put you in a situation where you're necessarily qualified to be on the radio. As we know, one of my business partners is been in the business 30 years, and to see him operate in it lets me know that you have to know what you're doing in the radio business when you're on air, to not only know what to play, but how to engage the audience and how to set up the next records like that. Like there's a system and there's a talent, sure enough, but there is also a science to acquiring listeners, keeping people tuning in, and engaging the listening audience. So it's definitely not something you just want to do without some level of training. But again, if there are any DJs out there who want to, or radio personalities, because you got to really understand that a DJ and a radio personality are really two different things. And so we have to be able to, we need both on our station, and we're looking high and low, low and high for not only.
Where's your station at?
In Waco, Texas.
Waco, Texas.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's just like I went to radio school. I went to learn how to be a broadcaster, but by the time I got out, it was now all computerized. It used to be where you used to have to do cartridges, and then you'd have to be interactive and all that. Now it's all computerized. And
it's all automated now.
I don't think people know how to talk to people anymore. That's the whole problem. I mean, hey, you're right here on Hot 105.7. This is Darrell Lee. We're coming to you. People don't know how to do that anymore. It's like, hey, this is Hot 105. We're coming to you live. Have some excitement, charisma behind it.
I'll tell you something I learned, JJ. Yesterday, I went into the station to do something very simple, to look at a setting on our automation system. And my inquisitive self took the entire radio station off the air.
Oh my God.
And it ended up.
See, Rob, hold on, Rob. I told you was that bad kid that your mom had, and she told you to stop touching stuff.
Now
hey, you got to understand. I thought I had a clear understanding of what was working, but I didn't completely understand. And so I touched something that was being used that was an integral part of the automation system. And I ended up having to call, and coincidentally, we called a engineer that lives in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and he got the radio station back online for us. Shout out to John in Tuscaloosa. That's our engineer.
Now, what kind of format are y'all?
We're R&B and old school.
All right. You need to do do y'all got a DJ around there and do some old school mixes on Friday and Saturday night?
I'm not aware. I'm sure there's one that will do it. I'm just not aware of one.
If I was in the area, I'd do it for you, but I'm not. So.
You know what's interesting about radio? It
all sounds the same now. None of the new music that comes out is like all genres. I'm talking about country. I'm talking about rap. I'm talking about rock. They all sound the same. There's nothing that sounds different.
Let me ask you this.
Go
ahead.
What you was about to say?
No, I was because they're talking about radio, and I'm a novice to all of this. But as a consumer, I can say one thing. A lot of guys who are barbers don't know the impact they have on the people's head that they're sitting in. You know, when they're cutting it, it's like that they're the counselor, the mentor and all that stuff. I think that's what the radio station has been for people over time. You know, the politicians that are sent to the White House to represent the people tend not to get it right. But I know for a long time, historically, the radio station has really been the voice of the people. You know what I mean? When talking about, current events and certain things like that, political things, the radio station has been the voice for the people. And that's where you really hear what's going on in your community. That's what it's been for me for a long time. And, I even still tend to tune into, I know everybody got XM and Sirius radio, but I still listen to the local radio stations because I want to know what's going on local to me. And I appreciate all the efforts that's put behind that.
Well, Brent, one thing about radio is that you have to bring some value to the listener. People will listen to you if you bring value to the listener. And much like Uncle Bob has mentioned, is that they took a lot of the personalities out of radio. Everybody does syndication and then does a form of an automated broadcast. I think having those local shows, those local radio DJs, those local radio personalities is an integral part of adding value to your community as a radio station. And so that's why it's so important for us as we roll out this business endeavor that we look for radio personalities, local DJs, people who can add value to the community, not just entertain them, of course, but add value in some way that enriches the community in a substantive way, in my opinion. Because some of the most influential people in our community, believe it or not, have come from the radio industry historically.
You know, look at the big market areas. They still work radio with the personality, like Power 96 and all that. They still work it with, you know, like when you go to Miami, you know, I'm going to turn on Power 96. I'm going to listen to DJ Laz. Everybody knows he's still down there and still involved. It's like where we live at, it's like 95.1 The Fox. Rick Hendricks, great friend of mine, started out the club DJ, y'all. We all DJ'd and went to radio. And he's a well-known personality in the radio. He's probably 90% of why people listen to that radio is because of Rick Hendricks, you know. So, it's you know, you got to have that personality, and you got to have people that, you know, it's like Hot 105. Everybody used to know Michael Long, Darrell Lee, and Train. You know, skid on the wall.
Hey, you know, the cool thing about it, Bob, is that we're in the age of technology, and maybe you can put together a mix for us, and we load it into the system, and you could be a guest DJ for an evening, and we see how it catches on, man.
I believe you do good with it, because I love the old school stuff. I'm all the way from 1984 Electric Kingdom, the Planet Rock, the Cabbage Patch, all the way up to the Gucci Crew, the Two Live Crew, Disco Rick and the Boys. Black Pack, Poison Clan.
Oh man,
69 Boys, DJ Magic Mike, 95 South, Dynamix 2. You know, I love all that stuff, man.
Well, like
craft work. I mean, we're going way back to the day.
As long as you can get a hold to the radio versions, you can put them in, baby.
I got them. I got them clean and dirty, and remixes too. So whatever, you know, I can do it for you, man. It's no problem.
Hey, Rock. So what's your goal? What's your goal for your radio station, man, when it comes to podcasts?
So in conjunction with the radio station, we, as you can see behind me, we have a full-blown podcast studio. This is one of our sets here, and we have a couple other sets along with the actual broadcast studio for the radio station. So we are going into the podcast space with a opportunity for podcasters to get a fully produced podcast, both video and audio. And we, for those people who are really talented and would like to partner with us, we also would be willing to place their podcast not only on our website, but also on our YouTube, on the radio station YouTube page, to gain views and feedback for those people. So we're looking for all types of talented opportunities for people. Like I say, that's one of the things that I you know, at this point it's a passion project, of course, but it has to be you go in business to generate money, and right now we have a lot of opportunity in this business, which means at that point we don't have a lot of money right now, but we have a lot of opportunity to make money and help people at the same time, and that's why I am so excited about this opportunity. That not only does the radio station involved in the radio station, but we also have a full functioning podcast studios with 4 different sets, and so I'm tremendously excited about that.
I got a question for Uncle Bob. It sounds like you collaborate with a lot of artists and perform with a lot of people. Who sticks out in your mind as like one of the all-time favorite performances you gave, where it seemed like all the stars aligned, the music, it was electricity in the air, and it was just like I don't know, the utopia of sound that day. Do anyone sticks out in your mind?
Well, the only thing that really sticks out in my mind, and this is funny, is me and Eazy-E was sitting on the back of the tour bus outside smoking a joint because he was on the Club MTV tour with it. And Milli Vanilli in the lip sync, girl, you know it's sticking. And we're like, holy shit. You know, I mean,
Eazy-E, man.
Yeah.
You know, let me ask you this. Brent didn't ask you a question. Didn't ask the question the right way. I'm gonna ask the question the right way. As a performer and entertainer, can you remember a time when you were in the zone?
Yes, I went to Terre Haute, Indiana, in the middle of nowhere, in a field, and it was their state fairs over there. They have them in the summertime instead of the winter. I wish we do that in the South, because I mean it's prettier and they have big and their state fairs. They just don't bring country and rock; they bring everything. So we did it was my first radio tour that I really ever did. My first show I ever did. You can actually see it on my TikTok, on my Facebook. It was in Terre Haute, Indiana, and we there was over probably 150,000, 200,000 people in the crowd, and it was my first show. I was on there with Stevie B and a bunch of up and coming new artists, and that was probably my favorite deal I did. Probably my favorite show I did was that one, because that was the first one. Really nerve-wracking and nervous, and didn't know what to expect, but from right then on, it was Katie barred the door. But that was probably my favorite, you know.
Hey, Uncle Bob, have you ever met Suge Knight?
Never met him in my life, because about that time is about the time we started getting out of it, when the gangster rap come in.
Right.
I mean,
because I know during that time, I guess Luke and Eazy-E had beef with Death Row and Dr. Dre and Suge Knight.
I know Dr. Dre and MC Hammer was real close. Not Dr. Dre, but Tupac and MC Hammer, they was really tight.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. Them two were tight. I mean, tight. A lot of people don't know that. I didn't. At that time, I was kind of blowing up, doing my own thing. And I was kind of getting out of the Miami scene. I was going more nationwide and going in a different direction. So the only thing I can tell you about Luke, man, is I know he got sued by Luke Scott. He got sued by the guy that owned all the Return of the Jedis, Steven Spielberg, for the Luke Skywalker name. He lost $500,000 because of that. But man, I remember down there when they were shutting down record stores, when people was buying Nasty As You Want to Be, and they was trying to take the freedom of rights of speech. If it wasn't for Luke and that little label that's on that, Parental Advisors,
right,
there wouldn't be no M&Ms. There wouldn't be no Dr. Dre's. There wouldn't be none of that. I mean, and
Hey man, for those that just joining, man, we got special guests in the building. Uncle Bob, man, he is from Alabama, man, but he has toured with the likings of Vanilla Ice, 2 Live Crew, who else?
Man, I mean, it's just I did so many radio.
Vanilla Ice,
Egyptian Lover. I mean,
Egyptian Lover,
CNC and the Music Factory, New Kids on the Block, Mark Warburg.
Millie.
Yeah, so if you from the side, hey, shout out to all of my Montgomeryans out there, man, especially the west side of Montgomery, Ridgecrest. Shout out to y'all, man. Hey, man, y'all know what Hot 105 used to play back in the day, man. Egyptian Lover, 2 Live Crew, who else they used to play a lot of?
Man, they do. They would play all that Miami bass stuff.
Raheem
Michael
Dream.
Long, Prince Raheem, MC Shy-D.
Yeah, MC Shy-D. Okay. Hey, man, so shout out to everybody from the west side watching, man. West side of Montgomery, man. And we also got Rocky Miller, a.k.a. Rock, in the building, man. My big homie, man. My big brother, man. He will cut you off in mid-sentence in a minute, but it's all love. He is a radio station owner now. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my dog. You know what I'm saying?
That's a lot of props, man. That's a lot of props, man.
Out there in Waco, Texas. You know what I'm saying? And I guess sooner than later he gonna have me. He gonna fly me out there. You know what I'm saying? To be a special guest on his radio show. hopefully, you know what I'm saying, in a little bit, you know what I'm saying. But man, I just want to salute you, dog, for taking that step, bro. You know what I'm saying, becoming a entrepreneur in that aspect, man. And hopefully, bro, we see your radio station, you know what I'm saying, be one of the biggest, man.
Absolutely, man. I just want, like I said, I want to thank you, man. It's a tremendous opportunity. It's a tremendous responsibility. I have two amazing partners in this particular endeavor that I've learned so much from already, man. So it's really a great opportunity for me, but again, it's also some work involved as well. So I definitely look forward to it. Hey, but Bob, I got to ask you a another question. You know, since you are almost like what you would call a historian of hip hop, right?
Right.
All right. When you look at the current crop of hip hop artists, right? Who do you see? Who do you see as somebody that you can sit down and listen to? I struggle with finding somebody I can listen to. There's a song or here that I may like or whatever, but back in the day, we used to be able to put on a Tupac album or NWA album or you know, album and just listen to it during a whole ride through the neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And really get into it. I struggle with that now because if I put on I may hear an artist and understand what he's saying in one song, and then the next song I don't even get it. And so I assume it's a generational thing, like it was when I was a young pup and my parents and grandparents and older family members didn't get what we were listening to. But I was just wondering, is there anybody that you see?
There's nobody that stands out, and I'm going to tell you why. It's because it's just like radio. Everybody now can do a podcast. Everybody now can produce an album at home. Let me tell you something. I've learned this, and I believe in this. Toga Cadis is a prime example. I'm going to use him. One of the greatest producers out there. He was a great producer. Uncle Bob has an ear for music too. But Toga has a different ear for music, and he might hear it a different way. Hey, let's make you sound different. Let's tweak you this way. Let's add these congas in over here. Let's add these drums in here. All the music today sounds the same. There's nothing that stands out and makes it different. It's like the music we did. When you heard the Miami bass sound, you heard a lot of congas. But you heard the New York, you heard the Metro, and you heard the New Jersey, and you heard the California. Totally different sound. Everything on radio now just sounds the same. There's no personality. There's no producers like Master P, like Dr. Dre, like Toga Cadis, like Bo Crane that was a producer down there. There's no producers anymore. That's the problem. Producers.
But could it be said that music is like a reflection of the time that we're living in that, you know, like Uncle Bob spoke of the 90s, you know, and how gangster rap became like the music trend during that time, you know, but look at what was going on in the world, in the United States. You know, there's a lot of police brutality, a lot of uprising, a lot of riots and things like that. Just a response. The music was only a reflection of that. I think during this time when we're trying to find out what a woman is, what a man is, what, you know, it's a very confusing time. So I only expect for our music to be having that same conversation, trying to figure it out, trying to figure out what direction we're headed in. And I just think that, you know, I think music won't do anything but reflect what's going on in the society at that point in time.
Well, you know, it's like Gene Simmons said of Kiss. He was on an interview and he said there are no more super groups. When's the last time you heard like a super group, like Journey, like Kiss, like NWA, stuff like that? There are no big super groups anymore. I mean, look at Super Bowl, the first time they ever put hip hop on it. Dr. Dre, Eminem, all of them, that was a huge success for them. Usher this year. I'm not a big Usher fan, but other people liked it. You know, just like country now. Country, you got all these country rappers like Jelly Roll, Ryan Upchurch, all them guys coming up. And I mean, I dig it because it's something different.
Well,
and they got a different sound.
Let me ask you this here, Bob, because this is kind of different kind of question, but when we were young and R&B, I'm 54 years old, so I'm assuming we're around the same age, Bob. Yeah. If that offends you, I apologize.
No, I'm 50, so I'm right there. I'm in the senior moment.
So we were originally given guys to relate to, like Jeffrey Osborne and Al Jarreau and all these other guys that were given to us, really packaged up, really sharp, dressed, right. Lionel Richie, whatever. But for whatever reason, we didn't latch on to that as being the thing to do. We latched on to what are the guys? You talk about, we latched on to guys like that were like the Force MDs. We latched on to guys that represented what was emerging hip hop. Now I know Force MDs wasn't hip hop, but they represented what hip hop looked like during that era. And so eventually we ended up with Run DMC. We ended up with Beastie Boys, all those
Fat Boys.
But those weren't acts that the industry gave us. Those are acts that came out of a grassroots musical movement such as hip hop, right?
Right. Because here's the thing with all that. You know, like the Fat Boys, Run DMC. Run DMC was the first group, a black group that white kids really turned to and listened to. And then it was the Beastie Boys. And they was all produced by Rick. Here we go. Back to the center. Produced by Rick Rubin and Russell Simmons. It goes back to that producer. It was just a different sound, and they wasn't really getting out there and cussing. They would like Mary, you know, I got to get to the house to bust her out early. You know, they was kind of doing it discreet, and the music was about partying and having a good time. It wasn't about shooting and killing somebody. And I think we just loved the breakdancing. You know what I mean? You could feel the vibes.
But the music came from the music came from the people at this point. Point. Now, I believe that the record industry, believes that they can take any guy and make him a star.
Well, I seen that happen with the record company I'm on. The record company I was on. And I'm on, and I'm not shouldn't spill the beans on this, but they had a guy. He was a big guy, and everybody called him Maximilian. He had curly hair, and but the guy was a really, really great vocal person. I mean, really good. Like a Milli Vanilli singer. He took me in the studio with Simeon Angel because I had to go back down there and re-record it. And he made me sound like $1 million because he was a vocal coach and he really knew how to work with me. He would say, hey, I want you to sing it this way. I want you to do it this way. But the problem with him, he didn't have the looks. So they
see. I got that problem only in reverse. I got the look, but I just don't. I can't hold a note.
well, all I can tell you is just get out there and start ringing a bell and just saying something, you know. But this group was called MTS. They went out. They found 2 good-looking girls and a guy. They didn't do all the singing. They could sing, but they lip synced it. But the song was almost a top 40 hit. But it was all about, back then it was about the looks. Same thing happened to Milli Vanilli. They didn't expect that thing to get as big as it did. It blew up on them. But it all goes back to producers.
So I guess I got a question for y'all. Is this considered industry plants? Like they put people in the industry just to generate some type of income?
it's all about this. I've seen it when I was in Lanier. They tried to split that band up because Charlie Pernacchio was the lead singer of Lanier, and they tried to split that band up. I seen it right in front of my eyes at Atlantic Records. You know, I mean, you can do this by yourself. You can make more money. You can do this. You can do that. You know, the only reason Charlie and them got a deal is because Toga's dad was real good friends with the guy that owned Atlantic Records. So, I mean, the music was great, and it was a top #2 hit. I mean, there ain't no doubt in that, but it's all about the industry. If you go listen to someone like, there's a guy by the name of Tracy Lawrence. He's got a podcast called TL Country. Go listen to him talk about the country industry and talking about, he had Ryan Upchurch on there and get them talking about just what you're talking about. But on the, you know, they don't like the hip hop country.
But let me ask you this, because you were, like I say, you were in hip hop very early on, and it seems like you know a lot of people as hip hop was emerging. With all the things that are coming out now about very successful guys, like when you talk about Puffy and all those guys who were coming up, I know that may be, you know, I don't know where you fall in there, but was all this gay stuff going on in front of you in your era? You know, all these guys.
It was going on, but it wasn't as flaunted as it is now. They're more flaunted. You think about something. You know, I come from old school. My parents were old when they had me, and they was telling me about Liberace. Liberace used to pay a woman to be his girlfriend and had a gay man behind closed doors. People didn't know that. Back then, it was kind of behind closed doors because we had a guy that toured with us that was gay. We didn't have a problem with him. He was a great guy. Just like he didn't mess with us, and he knew we wasn't that way. But I got a lot of my friends that are lesbian and gay folks, and they don't like the way this new. They kind of like it in the closet. Leave us alone. We're not this stereotype person. They say there's two types of gays: the LBGT and just the regular. You know, and
but were guys being pressured to do gay stuff to be in the industry back then?
No, not really. Because as long as the record company was making money, things was different back then in the record company because you sold CDs, you sold albums, and you sold tapes.
I don't think you can pressure a person into being gay.
I ain't taking one up for nobody, okay?
No. What I'm saying is we get to talking about these rituals that these
the Illuminati or whatever it is.
Not only the Illuminati, but like what's fascinating to me is that all these, you know, Puffy can be put in a situation where he's the boogeyman because years ago he was enticing guys to involve themselves in some type of fruity behavior. I'm kind of like you. I don't think guys can be enticed. You have to be fruity, you know, in order to.
Well, you know, I mean, they you know.
But why is that?
Say money talks.
I mean, I just believe that a guy who loves women like I do, they can't print enough money.
That's it. But these kids these days coming up compared to when we was kids, it's like I seen a TikTok the other day. They was talking about Mad Dog 2020. Leave that to our generation. If you don't know nothing about no Mad Dog 2020 and Boone's Hill, leave it alone because, you know, that was our thing. We go to the store, the oldest person, try to buy a bottle. We'd ride home, be puking all the way. You know, that's our deal. You don't know nothing about that. Leave the Mad Dog 2020.
Yeah, we always get old wino to buy us one.
We had the police. We had the police buy. What you talking about? But I mean, things was different back then. Culture was different. Everybody now is so sensitive and so butthurt. You know, if somebody got on here and y'all called me Whitey, I'm not offensive by it. I love it. You know, I go back to the old days when I loved watching the Dean Martin, how people could be comedians, how people could be funny. Now these comedians can't be funny because, oh, you're saying something racist. Oh, you're talking about this. You're talking about that. Well, if you don't like it, don't go watch it. Turn the damn TV off. You know, it's just everybody now is so butthurt, man.
Absolutely.
We're more culture divided now than we was back then. Everybody's so butthurt, man.
Hey, man, this is a sensitive time in America where everybody is super sensitive, man. You really can't, you know what I'm saying, love what you do anymore. And it is true, man.
Look at Red Fox. I mean, who don't love Red Fox?
Right.
Red Fox, come on, man.
well, just think about it. Red Fox used to say ethnically insensitive terms on him and Archie Bunker used to say ethnically insensitive terms on nationwide, nationally broadcast, very popular sitcoms. Nowadays, a person would be canceled for that, for saying those terms, and especially Archie Bunker, because he used the F word a couple times to describe certain people. So it's a day and time, and again, I come from a generation of where, for the sake of a laugh, you could damn near do anything. I don't know if was right, but that's what I'm comfortable with. And so as long as we're doing it for the sake of the joke and not to demean or belittle people, I can really get the laugh. I can really get the joke. But now people are just so sensitive about, being singled out for who they are. I mean, ridiculed for that. It creates a situation where people are hypersensitive about being misrepresented or characterized as a outcast or abnormal. So, I get where they're coming from. I don't necessarily think it's appropriate and always right in every situation, but I think in some cases, people should lighten up and let comedians tell jokes. You know what I mean?
That's what they get paid to do.
Yeah.
You're on mute, JJ, if you're talking.
Oh, my bad. Hey, yeah, man, we're an hour into the show, man. I also wanted to touch on Uncle Bob. Got a couple more things that he's doing. And I just want to tell you, hey, man, I really do appreciate you giving me some of your seasoning, man.
Yeah.
He got some good rubs and sauces, man. You want to tell?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you about it. I've always cooked. I come from my old line of background of cooking. My dad had a hot dog house. I've had a restaurant. I've been a little bit of this and a little bit of that. At one time, I was a pro wrestler back in the early 96s, 1998 to 2000. Really enjoyed that. That's probably the best shape I ever been in my life. Fitness-wise, I felt good, healthy, young. I probably was the best shape I ever been in. But I started a new business adventure. I started actually in 2005, but at the time, there was not a market for spices and rubs. But like he was saying, we got Uncle Bob's rubs and sauces. That's our peach barbecue sauce. We got 5 different rubs, and we got 5 different sauces. They're made in Texas. We have them co-packed. We're in Ace Hardware in Deepsville and 5 other stores. I'm fixing to be in Ace Hardware in Auburn and Ace Hardware in Montgomery. I've been working on it, and we got this product right here that's got the final sample on. It's Uncle Bob's hot dog sauce that goes on hot dogs. I also got a cooking show on YouTube called Cooking with Uncle Bob. I'm on there. So, I mean, I just love to cook. I've been in barbecue competitions, steak competitions, and that's what I'm into right now is the rubs and sauces, trying to get them nationwide and take them nationwide.
Are there any places in Texas where they're being sold, Bob? I'm actually in Texas.
No, they're made by a company in Texas called Sucklebusters. They do all my co-packing. I'm trying to get over that way. As soon as I get this finished out, We're going to go present it to Walmart. We're going to do TikTok lives and Facebook.
I'll tell you a company you ought to partner with and try to get it in their stores. It's called Buc-ee's. If you don't know what Buc-ee's
I tried Buc-ee's, but here's what Buc-ee's is doing. Buc-ee's is smart. They're cutting all the. They're doing their own stuff now. They're getting it labeled with their names. They're getting away from all the rub, and I think that's a mistake on their part because these people have got names. What is like Dano, Meat Shirt? They all got names. So I think they're making a big mistake on that. But then again, Buc-ee's buys so much, they probably get it made for a little nothing. So I had talked to them, and that's what they sent me in the message that they was getting away from doing their own. They're doing their own line now. So
yeah, man. Well, hey, man, I just wanted to thank Uncle Bob, man. If you guys want to reach Uncle Bob for some of his seasons and spices, man, follow him on you. What's your
my YouTube is Cooking with Uncle Bob, and on Facebook it's Uncle Bob Rubs and Sauces.
Uncle Bob Rubs and Sauces, man.
Yeah, man, I'm in about 5 or 6 little stores around here.
Do you have an Amazon store or anything like that we can search for?
No, I've got to figure out how to get on Amazon and actually sell. I have not got that far yet. And the thing about them, man, is people get on there and they want to upcharge everything. It's ridiculous, So I'm working on figuring out how to sell on Amazon. Like I said, I've been doing it 2 years, and over the 2 years, I've been got to 5 rubs and 2 barbecue sauces. I've got more stuff in the pipeline. I've just slowly been doing it. It's hard to do it when you by yourself,
Hey, Uncle Bob, as a music man, as an entrepreneur, as it sounds like you got your hands on a lot of stuff. What makes Uncle Bob tick?
Challenge. Somebody telling me you can't do it. Don't tell me that, because I'm gonna prove your ass wrong. I can do it. Now it might not be today and it might not be tomorrow, but I know the good Lord's got a plan for me, and it's gonna happen. I mean, I've been blessed so many times in my life, it's unreal. I've had, I had my time with the music. I had my fun. I did my thing, and I went further than I ever did. I set my dreams and goals. When I was a young man, I wanted to be a radio DJ. I wanted to play music. I wanted to produce music. I wanted to put out a song. Not only did I put out a song, I put out a whole album, and did stuff 3 years ago, and got a guy in Texas now that wants me to do stuff. So I'm a very positive thinker. Don't tell me I can't do it, because I can do it with the willpower of God and the willpower of me. All you got to do is believe in yourself and bet on yourself. A lot of people don't believe that. They don't want to believe in themselves. They don't want to bet on themselves. They want to work for the man the rest of their life. I ain't working for the man the rest of their life. I want to take people and have people working up under me and be a blessing to them, and then let them do their thing and go on and be a blessing to somebody else. I've never worked for the man, and I never will. I've always worked for myself. There's a way to make money. There's a way to hustle. You just got to want to and will to. Sometimes you got to eat beans and weenies and toast, and sometimes you can wine and dine with a caviar. You just got to, you gotta stay positive. You got to believe yourself. Like this podcast, like this radio station over here. Rock, you know what you're doing on this radio station. Keep pushing forward. There's going to be good times. There's going to be bad times. There's going to be low times. There's going to be high times. But don't give up on something you know that you can do and you can work. There's people out there that'll advertise and spend money. Make it affordable. That's the big thing with radio. Is some people get too pricey. Help them out. If all you got is $200 or $300 to spend in advertising, wine them and dine them, take care of them, because you never know. You could be planting that one seed in the person, and they can get so big, man. Thank you for taking care of me in the beginning, man. And here's $2,000 or $3,000 extra. They can be a blessing on down the road. Just like the music, you never know. Just like the music, you never know. At the time, you didn't see the diamonds. You just seen the the dust. Now some of them are diamonds and doing big things. You know, you don't know where people's going to be in life. I tell my kids all the time, get out, get around people, talk to people, hang out with people. You know, even if it's at a bar, I used to go to bars and hang out and talk to people. I didn't have to drink, but you never know. That might be that baker one day at the end of sitting on the end of that bar when you need a loan. That might be that lawyer that you need one day. That might be that doctor or that attorney one day you need. You know, you got to talk to people. You got to communicate with people. You got to hang out with people. Why do you think rich folks hang out with money-making people? You know, and they get positive around that. Don't tell me we can't do something. We can all do it if we put our heads together.
For sure.
You just got to believe in yourself, because nobody's going to bet on you. Nobody's going to bet on you like you're going to bet on yourself. And it might not be all roses right now. You think everybody in the food industry, you think everybody in the music industry, you think everybody in the podcast industry, you think all the YouTubers started out small? No, they started out small. You got to get your feet wet. You got to work. You got to crawl. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of headache. But I promise you, there's light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to bet on yourself, and you got to believe in yourself. If you say you can do it, you can do it. There's going to be days when you don't feel like doing it. But if you set yourself up goals, like every morning, I get up, man. Every morning, I get up in this little book, and I write down my goals for the day. And I try to do all my goals. If I don't do them all, I'll come back the next day and do it. Just like me and JJ's business adventures up here. You know, there was a time I was struggling. And then God opened up one door, and then he just keeps opening up doors and keeps blessing. The main thing you got to do is believe in yourself and believe in the Lord. Pray to him every day. Believe he'll open up them doors for you. That's all I can tell you. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Positivity is king.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you, man. Hey, Rock, before we wrap it up, man, what you want to plug, man?
No, man. I just want to thank you guys for inviting me on with Uncle Bob. This has been a very encouraging podcast, man, and show. But I just want to thank you guys for allowing me to jump on, man. And Uncle Bob, I'll definitely be getting some of those seasonings, because I need some of those rubs.
Yeah, well, I just want to tell you.
Rubbing on meat.
Yeah, there you go. And I want to tell y'all guys, thank y'all for having me on here, man. And anytime y'all want to talk about anything, I'm on here. I got other adventures we can talk about too. But you know, I'm in a good season of my life, and I feel like God's fixing to bless me with a bigger season. And just remember, when you're cooking with Uncle Bob, it's awesome.
All right. Hey, man, I want to thank y'all for coming on tonight, man. And this was a very in-depth look at someone that may not look like we think they're gonna look, but they do have the swag and the knowledge of what we, you know what I'm saying, intended for it to be. I appreciate Uncle Bob coming in. I appreciate my dog Brent, as always. What you gotta say, Brent, before we get up out of here, man?
Man, JJ, you know what it is, man. Follow the Sexy Cigar Lounge on all social media platforms, especially this one. Hit that notification bell so you get the every time we come out live with this new content, you get a hold of us and hear us talk our shit. And I appreciate talking to Uncle Bob today, man. He done educated us on the history of music and DJing and you know, I really appreciate that. And that last thing he said, well, it was like a Jimmy Johnson halftime, you know, speech. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm good with it, man. I appreciate it. And Uncle Bob, welcome to the Sexy Cigar Lounge family. You know, we got plenty of spaces if you want to hop on anytime and talk and shoot your shit with us.
Y'all just let me know when you go live. Whatever you want to talk about, I'll talk about.
Yeah, and you know what? One thing I got from Bob JJ is honor your relationships. You know what I mean? Honor your value, your relationship with God, and it's all about relationships. You know what I mean? You never know who you're gonna be talking to. Treat people well, and good things to come to you. Have a plan, and you'll see all that come to fruition. So I appreciate Uncle Bob for that. And you know what it is, JJ. Follow Sexy Cigar Lounge on all social media platforms.
Hey, man, I just want to thank all of our viewers tonight, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I want to thank the fellas on the show, man, for you know, bringing a little pizzazz to the lounge show tonight. I want to thank all of the viewers in Montgomery, Texas, wherever you're at around the world, man. Stay tuned for the next show, man. Peace out.